The Arizona sun was a relentless overseer, casting its golden gaze over the vast expanse of desert that stretched as far as the eye could see. Amidst the red rocks and prickly cacti, a lone figure trudged through the sand, each step stirring whispers from the arid land. This was Alex Rivera, a young man whose heart carried more weight than his worn backpack. He had come to Arizona seeking purpose, drawn by a dream that had felt unattainable in the bustling streets of Phoenix where life moved too fast for people to truly see one another. Alex's story began in a small apartment, crowded with reminders of better days, photographs of his mother smiling in a sunlit kitchen, letters from teachers who had believed in him, and an old guitar that sat quietly in the corner, a relic of dreams deferred. When he lost his job and watched his mother's health decline, the suffocating feeling of helplessness became a constant companion. One evening, staring at the desert horizon from his tiny balcony, he made a quiet decision. He would go west, to the heart of the desert, and find a way to make his life, and someone else's, matter. His journey led him to a small, dusty town called Sedona. The locals moved with the rhythm of the sun and the wind, unhurried yet precise, carrying wisdom etched by generations of hardship and hope. Alex wandered the streets, observing life as if he were both participant and outsider. It was there, outside a modest cafe, that he first saw her, an elderly woman named Marisol, struggling to lift a crate of water bottles from her truck. Without thinking, Alex stepped forward, the words escaping him before his mind caught up. "Here, let me help," he said, his voice roughened by days of walking and uncertainty. Marisol looked up, her eyes a mixture of surprise and gratitude. "Bless you, young man," she said, her voice carrying the warmth of someone who had known the sting of loneliness but never let it define her. Together, they lifted the crate, and a small, unspoken bond formed, a bridge between generations, between past struggles and present hope. Over the next few weeks, Alex returned to Sedona, drawn not by the beauty of the red rocks or the vast skies but by the quiet resilience of the people who lived there. He helped Marisol at her cafe, mending broken furniture, carrying supplies, and learning the stories of the desert. She spoke of droughts and fires, of families torn apart by misfortune yet always finding a way to lift one another. Each tale was a lesson, each scar a testament to the power of endurance and compassion. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the desert in shades of fiery orange, Alex sat outside the cafe strumming his guitar. A small crowd had gathered, curious about the young man whose music seemed to echo the very heartbeat of the land. His fingers danced over the strings, weaving melodies of longing, hope, and unspoken pain. When he began to sing, his voice carried the weight of his journey, the memories of his mother, and the quiet prayers of those who had once been invisible. Something extraordinary happened. The townspeople, many hardened by years of struggle, found tears brimming in their eyes. The music, raw and sincere, resonated deeply within them. For the first time in years, they allowed themselves to feel the collective pulse of their shared humanity. It was a moment of connection so profound that even the desert seemed to hold its breath, as if listening with them. Marisol, sitting quietly at a table, reached for Alex's hand. "You've reminded us," she said, her voice trembling, "that even in the harshest places, kindness and courage can bloom." Alex realized then that his journey had been never about escaping hardship, but about finding where he could make a difference. The desert had taught him that resilience is not merely enduring, it is lifting others even when your own strength feels insufficient. Word of Alex's music and his acts of generosity spread across Arizona. He helped organize community events, offered free lessons at the cafe for children who had little, and worked tirelessly to ensure no family went without water or food during the scorching summer months. Each gesture, no matter how small, rippled through the community, inspiring others to act. The desert, once a symbol of isolation, became a canvas for collective healing and transformation. Then came a test that would define Alex's resolve. A wildfire swept across the outskirts of Sedona, threatening homes, lives, and livelihoods. Panic swept the town, and fear threatened to eclipse the quiet courage that had been growing among its people. Alex, without hesitation, coordinated rescue efforts, helped evacuate families, and stayed behind to save pets and stranded wildlife. Exhausted and singed by the smoke, he felt despair creeping in, but he refused to give up. The lessons of resilience that Marisol and the desert had imparted were now etched in his bones. In the aftermath, the town was scarred, but the bonds forged in fire were stronger than ever. Alex watched as neighbors helped rebuild each other's homes, shared meals, and nurtured the wounded land back to life. And when he picked up his guitar one evening, under a sky filled with stars brighter than he had ever seen, the desert seemed to whisper in approval. His music no longer carried just his story, it carried theirs, the story of a community that had refused to break, that had chosen compassion over fear, generosity over despair. Years later, Alex would look back on his time in Arizona not as a place where he found himself, but as a place where he discovered the profound impact one person's kindness can have. The desert had taught him that true resilience is a shared experience, born from the willingness to lift others even when life feels unbearably heavy. And though he would go on to touch countless lives beyond Sedona, the lessons of that small town, the whispers of the desert, and the courage of ordinary people remained with him forever. Arizona, with its sweeping landscapes and quiet deserts, had not only witnessed stories of survival, it had become a living testament to humanity's capacity for love, compassion, and transformation. And in the hearts of those who lived there, the desert continued to whisper, reminding everyone that even in the harshest terrain, the seeds of hope, resilience, and kindness will always bloom.